The day I got fired felt like the end of my life. At least that's what I believed back then. It was a cold Monday morning in late November. The sky outside the office windows was gray, the kind of gray that makes the whole city look tired. I arrived at work just like any other day, holding a cup of cheap coffee and checking emails on my phone. Nothing felt unusual. People were sitting at their desks, typing, talking, complaining about deadlines. The printer was making that annoying grinding sound it always made. Then my manager, Victor, walked past my desk. "Can you come to my office for a minute?" he said. His voice sounded neutral, but something in his tone made me uneasy. I stood up and followed him down the hallway. The moment I entered his office, I noticed something strange. The HR manager was sitting there too. That's when my stomach dropped. Victor folded his hands on the desk and avoided eye contact for a second. Then he said the sentence that changed everything. "We're letting you go." Just like that. No long explanation, no warning. Just 4 words that erased 3 years of my life. For a moment, I thought I misunderstood him. "What do you mean?" I asked. "The company is restructuring," he replied. "Your position is no longer necessary." I stared at him in disbelief. 3 years. 3 years of overtime. 3 years of staying late to finish projects. 3 years of trying to prove that I was valuable. And now suddenly I was unnecessary. HR started explaining something about final payments and paperwork, but I barely heard any of it. My mind felt numb. They gave me a small cardboard box for my things. I walked back to my desk like a ghost. My coworkers looked up, then quickly looked away. Everyone understood what that box meant. One guy awkwardly patted my shoulder and said, "Hey man, you'll find something better." I forced a smile, but inside, I felt like my life was collapsing. When I walked out of the building with that box in my hands, the cold air hit my face. I remember standing there on the sidewalk for a long time. People were walking past me. Cars were driving by. The city was moving like nothing had happened. But for me, everything had changed. That evening, I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the ceiling. The silence in the room felt heavy. I opened my banking app. The numbers weren't encouraging. I had maybe 3 months before I ran out of money. 3 months to find another job. The next morning, I woke up out of habit at 7 a.m. For a moment, I forgot what happened. Then it hit me again. I didn't have a job. That realization felt terrifying. The next few weeks became a routine. Wake up, open job websites, send resumes. 10 applications, 20, sometimes 30. Every day felt the same. Most companies never replied. Some sent automated emails. "We regret to inform you." Those words started to feel personal, like someone was quietly telling me that I wasn't good enough. One afternoon, I had an interview that I thought went perfectly. The manager smiled, nodded, and said they would call me soon. I walked out of that building feeling hopeful for the first time in weeks. They never called. After 2 months, my confidence was completely gone. I started questioning everything. Maybe I wasn't talented. Maybe I had wasted years in the wrong career. Maybe getting fired wasn't bad luck. Maybe it was the truth. One night, I visited my friend Alex. We sat in his kitchen drinking cheap beer and talking about life. I told him everything. How I felt useless. How every rejection email made me feel smaller. He listened quietly. Then he asked a question that I didn't expect. "If you could make money doing anything, what would it be?" I laughed. "What kind of question is that?" "Just answer it." I thought for a moment. "Well, I always liked building websites. Back in university, I made a few small projects. Why don't you do that? He asked. Because that's not a real job. Alex leaned back in his chair. There are thousands of developers in the world, I said. There are thousands of lawyers too, he replied calmly. That doesn't stop them. That conversation stayed in my mind for days. Building websites was something I actually enjoyed. When I did it, time moved fast. It didn't feel like work. A week later, I made a decision that felt both exciting and terrifying. Instead of looking for another job, I would try freelancing. At first, it was humiliating. I created accounts on freelance platforms and started offering my services. My first offer was $20 for a simple website page. $20, less than I used to earn in 1 hour at my old job. And still, nobody hired me. Days passed, then weeks. Every morning I checked my inbox hoping for a message. Nothing. I started thinking maybe this idea was stupid. Maybe my old boss had been right. Then one evening I received a message. Can you build a landing page for my small business? The payment was $50. I remember staring at the screen for several minutes. It felt like winning the lottery. I replied immediately. Yes, I can. I worked on that project like my life depended on it. 3 nights with almost no sleep. I checked every detail again and again. Fonts, spacing, buttons. Everything had to be perfect. When I delivered the website, I felt nervous. What if the client hated it? A few hours later, he replied, "This looks great. Thank you." That message felt better than any salary I had ever received. Then something unexpected happened. He recommended me to a friend. That friend recommended me to another person. Slowly, small projects started appearing. $100, $200, $500. It still wasn't much, but it was progress. For the first time in months, I felt something returning. Hope. I worked harder than ever before. While my friends were going out on weekends, I was learning new skills. Better coding, better design, marketing, SEO, everything I could possibly improve. 6 months later, something incredible happened. One of my clients owned a growing online store. He asked if I could redesign his entire website. The project price was $5,000. When I saw that number, I thought it was a mistake. $5,000. That was more money than I had seen in months. I worked on that project day and night for 3 weeks. When the website launched, his sales increased dramatically. 2 months later, he contacted me again. I want you to manage all my online platforms. That contract alone paid more than my old monthly salary. Then more clients started coming. Soon I had more work than I could handle. So I hired another developer to help me. Then another. Then another. What started as a desperate attempt to survive slowly turned into a real company. Exactly 1 year after the day I got fired, I was sitting at my desk late at night reviewing our financial reports. I opened the revenue spreadsheet, and suddenly I realized something unbelievable. Our agency had generated more than $1 million in revenue. I just sat there staring at the screen, thinking about that cold Monday morning, the cardboard box, my boss saying, "We're letting you go." Back then, it felt like the worst moment of my life. But now I understood something important. Sometimes the moment that feels like a disaster is actually the moment that sets you free. If I hadn't been fired, I would probably still be sitting in that office, drinking bad coffee, working overtime, trying to prove my value to someone who never truly saw it. Getting fired didn't destroy my life. It forced me to build something better. And sometimes, the worst day of your life becomes the beginning of the best one.